half a second here.
The April meeting is the annual meeting, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
We're there. I'm going to mute this and we are ready to go. We're live.
Ready?
Mhm.
Good. Welcome to everybody attending the meeting. And I'd like to call the March meeting of the Waltham Library Trustees to order. And I see attendance, looks like we have our full quorum here. And has everybody had a chance to read the minutes of the prior meeting?
Yeah.
They looked great to me.
Mhm.
Anybody care to make a motion to accept the minutes as written?
So
moved.
Seconded.
Looks like Steve and Maureen. Great.
No, I think it was actually Martha.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
That's okay.
Too many M's for me.
That's right.
There you go.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion clearly carries. Thank you again, once again, for such a stellar job.
No problem.
See the expenditure report.
Holding pretty steady. I think we're doing a good job with the budget. No major changes or concerns about that right now. At about-
Okay,
Yeah, about 53%, which I think is great for the end of February, or just past the halfway mark. I feel very comfortable about where we are. So I did
Yeah.
just one thing for the educational, since we're mentioning the expenditure report, I did go to City Council a couple of weeks ago to request the transfer from state aid, which is just what we do every year to supplement the education materials, the materials budget. So we'll see that probably in the next expenditure report in April. It'll just see about a $35,000 increase.
okay. That's the first half, right, of it, or was that the second half?
I'm sorry, the state aid you will see, this is actually just moving some of that state aid money into the materials budget.
Okay.
Yes,
It's on the second page, I think, right?
the state aid should be on the second page. Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. It's nice to have a positive flow in the right direction.
Yep.
Let's see, what proportion are we at, Steve? About 75%?
What are we at? What are we, February? Yes, we got March, April, May, June. We're 2/3, 67.
Okay, and we're in the 50s on total.
Well,
expense.
then we're doing well.
Yeah.
We are.
Yep.
All right.
Good.
Sounds good. Let's see, Chair would accept the motion to file the report.
Motion to file.
Second. That looks like Maureen and Martha.
Okay, thank you.
Great. All in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Clearly carries. All righty. And what keeps us coming back? Report on library operations?
Yep. Yeah, pretty status quo. Our circ stats, and I apologize because I just got those out to you today. They're holding steady. They're not.
They look like.
We've ever seen, but they're not too far off the mark. February is a shorter month anyways. We are, in terms of, I usually like to update you with the network-wide ranking. We're actually 17th this past month in circulation, which is a little bit of a jump up, but it is what it is. I think, there are some libraries that are starting to allow a little bit more browsing. So that's going to be a factor in this as well. Some are, some aren't. We're number 7 still in terms of e-circulation, which is great. Our e-stats, electronic stats still holding pretty steady. Overdrive holding steady. Hoopla continuing to grow. Canopy, we actually spent a little less money on Canopy in February, which is on track with our circulation stats. It's just down a little bit. Regal, we were down a little bit as well, but overall the e-stats still look pretty good. No concern about that. We have been working on a new statistic. I'm happy to answer questions specifically about circulation, but we've been working on, Molly's been working on adjusting what I normally give you, the trustees report, where it says how many meeting rooms we've used and study rooms and hourly visits. We actually installed SenSource, which is a new, we had people counter before telling us entrances and exits to the building, and SenSource is an amazing product that'll monitor capacity throughout the building. So that'll be good for COVID related things, but it's a more accurate count of how many visits we're getting hourly through the building. So we're just starting to look at that data, which is exciting on both ends because data is good, but also because of COVID. But our average hourly visits for February was 31. Last year it was 88. So it's certainly off a little bit, but we're not open nights and weekends, so it makes sense. Number of programs this past month, children's had 18 programs, the teen room had 14, and there were 20 adult programs. So that was great to see, at the very least. And then starting in March, I'm going to start to share that statistic report broken out on paper, same as the circulation one, so you can start to see that. We had to do a little bit of tweaking for some of the programming now that everything is virtual. We've been trying to figure out how to count live views and then how to count people who are watching after the fact. And so Molly has done a lot of tweaking with the staff who does the programming to get the best results and to make it the easiest for collecting data at the end of the fiscal year. I feel like we're in a good shape. We'll share that with you next month. But those are the basics for stats, nothing too pretty status quo, which is probably good for a shorter month.
I had a landlord client that used to love February because it was only 28 days between rental payments.
Good way to look at it. Yes, yeah, that's true. Short and sweet and cold.
All righty. Any update on the personnel front?
No, I don't have anything updated on personnel. We're still at the 50% in the building and 50% at working from home and then switching. I haven't heard anything about stopping that yet. When I've had 2 patrons reach out to me directly, very nice emails just asking about adding the nights and weekends. And one of the things that's the priority is actually to get, we all have to be in the building to even revisit that conversation. Because we just don't have enough staff to make it work. But they were very kind letters asking about it, and I explained the situation. So I'm thinking on the sooner side, we will be back in the building, at least the staff will be back in the building at 100%. That'll be great. It'd be nice to see people. I talked about, I was talking to one of the staff who was in group 1, and I was saying, I don't think I've actually seen you for 2 months. Like I haven't actually seen you face to face. So anyway, but it's going well. I'm getting it done.
How many folks have we had retire over the course of the lockdown?
So since July, we've had 2 people retire. One, it was a full-time, so it was a retirement, and then somebody else, we call it a retirement. They were here a very long time, but they're not officially retired in terms of paperwork or anything, or retirement. But so 2 staff so far. We have one more person in the works we think is going to retire. That paperwork's not done yet, so I don't want to say anything for sure. But not too bad. I like to think 1.5. 1 full-time, 1 part-time. Yeah.
Good. And still no illness or COVID illness?
No COVID, yeah.
Great.
Everybody's doing a great job, taking it very seriously. It's awesome. I do have a fun Minuteman update for you. I wanted to share that Minuteman has introduced something called geodata tracking, which actually tracks, I think this is amazing. We just did a demo on it yesterday. I have it, I actually printed it out, so I'm going to tell you. But basically, our circulation software, where we have the patron records, is now going to include census data. It's automatically included in there, and we'll be able to use the census data to create to run reports and create maps. So in our example, a map of Waltham, and it'll show where our library card holders live, the highest concentration of library card holders, the highest number of checkouts in the community. And basically, it's an amazing tool, and it's basically free to us as Minuteman members. We'll be able to really see all the communities that we're missing, and try to figure out why it is, one neighborhood of Waltham isn't using the library as much as another. And there's some reasons that are out of our control. Some people in Waltham's a pretty spread out city. Some people live closer to Watertown and they may prefer to go right there. There's a little bit more parking, or if you live closer to the Lexington side of things, whatever the case may be. It's going to be, we are super excited to see that data. And actually, Waltham, I actually think it's a fast process, but obviously there's a lot of libraries and data to collect. But Waltham should have access to, we should have access to Waltham data probably by the end of next week. So we're really excited to start pulling some of that data, and I'm going to share it with you because I think it's very exciting. It's probably less exciting right at the moment with COVID, but as things progress, it's going to be it's going to be really exciting for strategic planning, which I'm excited about using it there. It's going to give us a much more fleshed out look at our demographics and how we serve our patrons. So a lot of data. It feels very geeky and librarian to be so excited about it. But we're really excited. I had not most, but a few of the department heads actually sat in on the meeting, and we're just thrilled about it. It's a huge.
So I know what the answer of this is, but I think just to make sure it's said out loud, I'm quite sure that the data doesn't no way come down to an individual level, so that anybody can be identified.
That's true.
By anybody, even,
yes,
on your
Nope.
side. I know that's always true, but I think it's worth saying out loud.
Yes, it would not show what you individually have going on at your house. It's more like concentrations of areas. That is a very good point. Yes, it's all confidential.
Will it also show cross-boundary patron usage, like people from Newton or Watertown and other communities that come into Waltham to use our materials? Or
Yes, my understanding is yes, that can do that. We were focused yesterday primarily on like the map of your individual town and looking at the breakout that specific way. But yes, you should be able to tell all of that data as well, which is great. We can already pull some of that data anyways. We can tell how many patrons from other libraries are using. That data is already broken out. This data is really better for mapping service points, I guess, if that makes sense. So less about patron type. Well, is that true? I guess when I think of patron type, I think more like less about what library card you have and more about where you live in your community and how that breaks down in terms of your library use.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, would that tell us for our local Waltham people who goes to what other libraries? So that we'd have an idea of how many Waltham people, say, go to Watertown, Lexington, Newton?
Yes, well, we can find out that data. Yes, and we do look at that somewhat indirectly, but we can look at that data too.
Okay.
And this will show us, we can cross compare that data, I believe. Like if we looked at a map, I was thinking the area of Waltham down by like the Gore Estate, pretty close to the Watertown Public Library. So I would see if we looked over there that in that relatively residential area, if those were those library card holders that live there were not using Waltham regularly, I would maybe want to know what that would, I would want to then look at maybe Watertowns, they're using Watertown pretty regularly because they're so close. So that would make sense. I'm trying to think of a good example without having the data directly in front of me. It's hard to make a clear example of what I'm sort of thinking, but some of it is, what's the word I'm looking for? Part of it will be a guess. That's one of the things that we were talking about at the meeting yesterday, that it is, there are some flaws in the data. It's not an exactly definitive thing. There are mistakes in the census. There's mistakes in our patron records. So we can't base anything too strictly on it, but I think it's going to be overall very beneficial.
It'll be interesting in conjunction with the impact study,
Yeah.
impact report. To
Yeah.
s-
Oh,
as you said,
absolutely.
what communities or what neighborhoods we are in.
Absolutely. And I think for our strategic plan, and I had a note to mention this further along, but we'll need to do a new strategic plan. Our strategic plan will end after 2022. So what I was thinking, and this is what I did last time, was taking a year off from a strategic plan and spending a full year working on the strategic plan. That's what we did for our last strategic plan, because I think you need a solid year. And the only thing it would prevent us from doing is getting some of the state grants. You can't apply for an MBLC grant without a strategic plan on record. But I think it's worth taking the year off and then using obviously this data to really, again, fine tune what we're looking at in terms of demographics for Waltham and where we're missing the mark. You know, are we not hitting? I'm not sure. We need a little time to look at the data, but it is, again, I'm super excited about it. So
that ties in nicely with the equity and empowerment initiative the Friends are
yes.
launching.
Yep.
Yeah, nicely. And there probably would be some user surveys, I presume community surveys.
Yep, for the strategic plan, we would do a number of surveys in English and Spanish, and then a lot of individual community focus groups, which is what we did before, including us going out into the public as well. We went to the Community Day Center in particular last time. That was one that I had went to just to meet people exactly, you know, where they are and just get some feedback from them without making them trek out to the library. So we'll do a whole bunch more of that. And yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm excited / daunted, but it's gonna be great. We'll get through COVID first, and then we'll do some.
Yeah, one thing.
It's gonna be great.
It's nice to look beyond it, though.
It is, yeah. It's good to plan ahead. I think I wanted to actually touch base because you mentioned in terms of the Friends, the equity team, the hiring of an equity firm through the Friends. Did you go over that with Deb last month?
I think she just mentioned that it was being looked at.
Okay. So I'm going to, we have a firm that we'd like to work with, and I'm going to draft a formal proposal to the Friends at the end of this month, so they'll have time to review it. And I will include all of you as well, so you can take a look at it. And then basically, the Friends will vote to fund it. It's basically a 2-year endeavor. They will vote for it in April. I'm going to put the request in. Well, I won't get into the details right now, but that's the progress with that. I'm going to put together a formal proposal, run it by the Friends, and then we will discuss it more at their meeting in April to pay for funding.
I think it's important work. I'm glad to see it in the works.
I do too. It's going to be really great. And we did a lot of research trying to find a firm and found one with some great connections to Waltham, and they were exactly what we wanted. We also invited Miriam, Michelle, and Nina Bartley to join us from the Friends and involve them in some of the search process as well in terms of finding a firm. So
would there be any outreach to any staff at Minuteman Network at all, just to let them kind of see what it looks like in the nitty gritty of an initiative like that?
You know, it's funny you should mention that because I was talking about this with my head of CERC this morning, that I was going to actually reach out to Minuteman in my capacity as a president and just ask them about doing a separate racial equity training for the Minuteman directors, because I think at that level, we would want to have I think it would be important through that organization to also have that conversation as well. So that is on my list of things to do. I'd be happy to share our information with any other library that wants to do it, but I wasn't just gonna, that's sort of where I was gonna leave that.
Yep.
But I think we should be tackling the subject on all sides, so it'd be good to see Minuteman do something as well.
Great, sounds good. Any other updates on the Friends?
No, those are my Friends updates.
Okay, good. And any other flash news on COVID?
No other changes. So far, so good.
Status quo is good.
Very good, yes, yep. And then in terms of new business, just loose, it's still a little bit too early to talk about it, but just reiterating the plan for strategic planning of possibly taking 2023 off and then working on the plan and finalizing it in 2023 for 2024. Those dates sound so far away.
They
Like,
do,
it's
but-
crazy. We're talking about 2024. If you will excuse me 1 second, I'm going to answer this city call. Give me 1 second, I'm sorry.
So boy, Red Sox season just around the corner, huh?
2 weeks
Let's
from
hope.
today.
You hear how expensive the tickets are?
Yes.
They're
Oh,
like
I can't even imagine.
for a seat and you have to buy two.
And didn't they say bleachers were like $500?
Well,
What?
that's through scalpers, ticket agents.
Scalpers. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The Red Sox themselves wouldn't just sell them that cheap.
Whoa, there's a cynical fan.
Especially not with LeBron involved now, right?
Right.
Does
Like
that
he
mean
still
they're gonna
haven't-
find a new team?
I still haven't gotten over the fact that you can't just turn on the television and watch the
it.
game.
Yeah.
I
Oh.
mean, last year I went ahead and paid, it was such a short season. It was like the first time ever I paid for a service because I figured, okay, I can do it for a couple of months, but geez, come on. So expensive.
Oh, it was terrible. I remember when they went off the free TV to cable and my
Yeah.
kids were playing Little League and our ritual was to come home Friday night, boil up a couple of hot dogs and watch Rem Dog, after playing a game. And we were just crushed, that we were gonna have to
Yeah,
sign up. So we got
it's-
cable that year. and It's never gotten out of the house again.
Sorry about that.
Yep.
New business, impact report. Can we talk about that?
Sure.
Yeah,
Love to.
What'd you think?
visually very exciting, very
Yeah,
impactful.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I have not gone page by page through the contents yet, but it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And it looks, really comprehensive, and I like the way the staff are highlighted, as you go through.
Yep.
Those are my first takeaways.
Awesome.
I agree. The presentation was fabulous, but the content matched it in terms of quality.
Equally, yeah.
And interesting stuff. It's amazing to see the leadership at Minuteman in the community and the greater library world that Waltham's providing. I think
Yeah.
it's something to be very proud of.
I like the fact that on certain pages, different staff members are highlighted and what they were doing above and beyond working in the library. So that really shows that not only, they come with different ideas, but also their ideas are good enough that they're sharing them out to the wider community. I thought that was really nice.
Everybody who has
My neighbor, all the sheep.
That's true.
We just wave, but now I know. Oh, wow.
That's awesome. Yes. No, she's amazing. The staff are amazing. I thought it was everybody has commented that has seen it so far on just basically saying they had no idea all this. This is a nice way to
Going
show
on.
everything.
Right, yeah. What
It
is-
was a nice way to showcase it.
yeah.
Yes.
What is Read Woke?
Read Woke is something that existed through Beanstack, which is Beanstack is a program that the Children's Room received a grant for the cost of. It's for 2 years. It's a virtual summer reading program.
Okay.
You can design challenges through it, like our summer reading program, but it also has ready-made challenges that you can offer the community. So Read Woke is one of them. It's the titles are already the titles, but also the challenges are already built in, and you can sign up for it, and it sort of nudges you along some different reading, just basically challenges, some different
Yeah.
options for you to read on that topic.
It was
Um,
listed with the, 100 books before kindergarten or whatever that was. And then I'm
Right.
saying, like, whoa, does that have anything to do with, like, is it a program where they read a story when the kids get up as opposed to?
No, woke as in more aware of, in terms of racial equity.
Okay,
And just being more aware of
a newer meaning for the word woke
what is
that
happening.
I'm
Yes,
familiar with, yeah.
correct. You do not have to do it first thing in the morning.
They put them to sleep reading a book and they wake them up reading one.
Reading a book.
They were going all in, yeah.
It's a very accessible challenge.
Mm.
So they're very, and it's appropriate for, I don't love that word appropriate, but there is options for every age, which is great.
The other question I had is, we'll listen to your statistics. You said you answered 27,000 questions?
Yeah. Yes, and that's actually,
How do
that
you,
is a low amount. Say again?
how do you even calculate that? That's a huge number.
We do it's extrapolated data, like we do a survey throughout the year. We do like a survey week where we literally count questions, and then we use that as a template and format it that way. Yeah, that is low just because the data that we're sharing is from fiscal year 20. So it includes the lockdown, but it doesn't include obviously the past. The data does not include the past 6 months because it's fiscal year data, if that makes sense. I feel like it's a little confusing because it's fiscal year, but this is a calendar year impact report, but I didn't want the data to not actually be able to be someday when I, am on my yacht in the and people
Your
are like,
yacht in the Charles?
my yacht in the Charles. I didn't want people to say, where on earth did you get this data and how do they do that math? Our data really is always fiscal year. So that's why we've sort of called out just to point out that it's fiscal year 20 data.
Now, where does this report go? Like, I
So
mean,
this is a new thing that we're going to do. It's going to go to everybody who's going to look at my budget. And we're going to make it available to the public. We're going to have a whole bunch of printed copies
Wow.
available. We're going to share it with the friends, and we're going to keep a copy in the local history room, and it'll be virtual. So you can look at it right from the website, and everything, you obviously can't tell when you print it out, but everything is hyperlinked. So if you click on any of the book titles, it'll bring you right to you can put a hold on those books, or it links back to the programs and our programming calendar. So it's very interactive.
Probably the trib and the patch too, I presume, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we're going to send it to. So much work went into this. I really
Yeah.
acknowledge.
That was evident.
Yeah, Ewan and Emily did I'm sorry, Ewan and Molly. My apologies, Molly, if you're watching this. That was terrible. They just did a tremendous amount of work.
Back in the day, the prior mayors, maybe a couple of mayors ago even, used to request annual reports from each of the departments.
Yep.
Along with their budget requests, as I recall. And I don't think that's happened in a bit, but this reminded me of that and was just much more dynamic, not just with the links, but with the content and the appearance than a hard white printed typed report, of like 6 pages with a couple of graphs thrown in, because this was quite impressive.
And I think moving forward, the plan is to do it yearly. It will replace, if the mayor or anybody requested an annual report, this would be our version of an annual report. We could always add a little more data if we needed to. But I think this will replace it. I think this style is a lot better. It's a lot prettier. It makes a lot more sense. Like you said, it's not so text heavy. It makes it a little bit more accessible. And I had gotten this idea because the Seattle Public Library, they do an annual report and they also do an impact report, which covers their very specific impact on areas like the community, teens, children. And I really liked the way that looked because I think sometimes we do all this great work and it's hard to really explain to people on the moment what everything it is that we do. And so I liked that impact. I just like that word. This is the impact that we have on the community. Plus throwing in a little data, a la the annual report. And I think this is a much better format moving forward, and everybody can read it and it makes sense. It should, patrons should be able to see it and say, this is what my library is been doing this whole time. So I'm excited for them to see it as well. We made a conscious decision to make sure you did not have to be a librarian to read this document.
Yeah.
And you knew what we're talking about. And sometimes we're a little guilty of that. So I could not be more pleased. I can't wait to share it with everybody.
It's great to be able to click on the live links, dynamic links in it too,
Yes.
right to the programs and that kind of thing. That was
Yeah.
very,
That's true.
Thank you.
Yeah.
super. Congratulations. It must feel like quite an accomplishment.
I feel
No,
like
that's great.
one thing got done, Alan. That
Yeah.
it's actually like I've been inspired. I've been inspired by this one thing that really, you and Molly had the hard part of putting it together. So and the staff did all the work. So it looks great. I'm super relieved.
Yeah, the thing I walked away with was thinking, wow, it's cool to be associated with an institution that's doing so much.
Mhm.
Like, whew, even if our role is minimal, it's like amazing to see it that
Nope.
that's being done. So
I appreciate that. Thank you. In other new business, I did want to just share a couple of fun and exciting things. The children's room and the teen room, Luke and Nancy each got a grant from the Waltham Cultural Council.
Oh, good.
So for the children's programming and for the Luke's graffiti camp over the summer. So that was nice to see. We, I mentioned that already. Oh, some nice things coming out of the children's room. Some of the children's team has been meeting virtually with the classes at the schools, which has been really great just to encourage them and
Good.
inform them about summer reading up and coming and all the good things that we're still offering. So they've actually seen a really great bump in visits. I feel like their visits are already going pretty well, but a lot of the kids have come by specifically looking for Sean and Emily to say hello. They made a cute little video and gave them a little tour of what's been going on. So that was really nice to see. The children's team is some of the children's team is actually gonna, provided, everything sort of moves in the right direction, they're gonna be working on a collaboration with Healthy Waltham. So Healthy Waltham offers some pop-up pantries, and the children's team is gonna come in and do some story times, some safe socially distanced story times, and offer some goodie bags for the kids. So we're excited about that. I wanted to mention that the Friends got a very significant donation from a family. It was a $5,000 donation. And the family specifically mentioned Bella Call from our circulation department and the home delivery program. And I thought that was so lovely. So I wanted to make sure to sing Bella's praises. She gives every patron such amazing customer service. But I said the fact that the patron took the time to write that, it's always nice when patrons step up and say, not step up, but just give us that feedback. It's so awesome to hear. That's usually, for me, that's like the top thing. If the patron praises you directly by name, you're doing okay. I was like, and then if they throw us $5,000, like, you're really like,
Really
yeah,
do it.
it's wonderful. So we're super proud of her. Not surprised, but super proud of her. Virtual classes. I did want to mention on our YouTube channel that if you have not checked it out, speaking of Bella and Amber are two of our stars right now, but we've got some cooking demos and some cocktail making demos going on.
oh,
And they're so wonderful. I feel like we have two genuine stars in the making, so I wanted to nudge you to check them out. I thought they did a great job. Don't watch them hungry.
at this point, we're all looking for new recipes. I think.
Fees.
It's true, yes. That was I thought it came out really nice. And the last thing I wanted to mention, budget for fiscal year 22 is due on March 26th to the city. So I've been prepping that. I've been prepping it honestly for the past month, so I feel pretty good about where the direction that it's going. My big concerns for fiscal year 22 would just be to avoid the waiver status. That's my biggest concern is avoiding a waiver. I'd like it to make sure that we're fully funded to ensure our operating hours, our typical night and weekend operating hours, and that we're fully staffed. I know that Deb mentioned it last month, but the lingering issue there was the pages salary. So we're going to put the request in for their increase. And I saw that in the minutes. I'm glad you all went over that. And then just as to mention it, the only other thing from last year that I wanted to include again this year to make sure to ask that it gets passed was the upgrade for the assistant director's salary, just to make it more in line with other assistant directorships in the city. And that was something you had agreed to last year as well. It just didn't, it did not pass. So I want to send that through again. But I'm happy to share a draft with you when it's ready.
Great.
Nothing,
Sure.
nothing super out of the normal. there.
Okay.
Good.
We typically don't get involved in items like that, but would you like a resolution on the assistant director's status?
Sure, that'd be, yeah, that would be great.
Right. Make a motion to support the upgrading of the would it be called salary, do you think, or compensation package for the assistant director?
It's actually a grade upgrade.
Okay,
That's the specific language. It's a grade upgrade.
okay. So in favor of upgrading the grade status of the assistant director's position. Anybody got a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Opposed? Good.
Can I ask one quick question? Did they have any particular reason why they didn't think she should be the equivalent of any other departments? Why her salary and position shouldn't be equal to those of other parts of the city?
No.
Okay.
And in
Under-
fairness, when that budget request went through, this was during COVID, during our lockdown.
Figured, yeah.
All right, well, that answers that.
Yeah, so I think that is,
And we're still the second largest department in the city, behind Consolidated Public Works, not counting schools.
yes.
Okay.
I should double check that, right? But I will double check that before presenting that information. But yes, that is my understanding. It's
Okay.
CPW is ahead of us. Excuse me. Mhm.
All righty. Any other new business from the floor?
That is all the new business.
All righty. Let's see, unfinished business.
Alan, the one thing I did want to mention, I'm sorry, in terms of the budget, this was the other thing. I am going to put the request in. We had talked about potentially having a teen representative on the trustees or something.
Oh, right.
So you don't have to decide anything right now, but I did want to put that ask in for funding to either for a stipend or there's obviously things to get worked out, but I didn't want to miss that opportunity. So I thought I should put that in that request in there as well.
Okay.
Makes sense.
And I feel strongly that it should be a compensated position.
Yep.
Just because there's equity involved.
Yes. It's a pretty nominal increase anyways, all things considered. So I'll draft that up just to.
That's been one of the issues with the Boston School Department student rep. Not having full equity in terms of a vote or compensation.
Yeah, great.
All righty. And let's see, art ownership. Guess we still own it.
We still own it. I haven't made anything, I'm actually getting closer to pulling up some documents to re-go out to bid to get the art cleaned. So I actually feel like I'm making a little bit of headway there, but best you don't think that. And we just leave it for right now and get through COVID and get us some night weekend hours. But
And cleaning would be the first step toward getting it displayed.
reframing, then security, then hanging. So
Okay.
we're gonna, we had to go out to bid for that. That's sort of how the process got delayed, but I feel like we're pretty close to putting another bid out there to get them
Great.
cleared. So that'll be good. Yeah.
Okay, bylaw review. Had some initial responses and comments. Was kind of sitting on that at the moment to see if legal thought we had to revise our bylaws in order to include a student or a youth rep.
And that is on my list of things. I have not heard anything from the city yet on that, but I do have a note to.
It's a multi-layered issue.
Yep, yep.
And disaster planning. Try to avoid them, right?
Right away.
Good plan.
Sounds like it's unanimous. Good.
Yep,
All against disasters. Raise your hand.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Alrighty. Let's see, any other announcements? Just out of curiosity, how many folks have gotten vaccinated?
I'm halfway there.
Halfway,
I've got
Halfway.
one, yeah.
one.
Well, good. I've been planning to try to send a letter to the governor about including librarians, but that may become moot with the current upgrade of
Rollout.
schedules. Yeah,
Hopefully soon, yeah.
good.
Yep. Thank you.
All righty. There being no further announcements or any other business, Chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second, we got M&M again.
What a team.
Really?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned.
All right, see you next
Good.
week.